Yooo Mana Squad, if you like any of the cards you see in today's video, you can go ahead and show the channel some love with the affiliate link down below for TCG Player. TCG Player is going to have whatever it is you're looking for, and you can even search for some of your local game stores and buy from them and show them some love as well. And speaking of showing the channel love, another great way to do so is by rocking into the AM. Got the discount code on screen and down below. You can show us some love, look good in the process, and as Kenneth the Heathen loves to say, something about dripping in space and screaming.
Yeehaw, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Command Center, where we like to put our favorite commander, maybe even yours, front and center. And you know we can't do it unless we talk about those three lowdown letters, EDH. What does it stand for today, Sheriff Hadoken?
Well, partners, it stands for expeditiously drawing at high noon. That's right. When we slang, we bang out here because there's a new set out here called Thunder Junction where the nittiest of the grit get down and all those scallywags and ski halls like to get down and dirty. And, you know, Rascally Dan them too. You know what? We were sitting here talking. I'm not doing that the whole show. I'm sorry. We were sitting here talking about Westerns with Thunder Junction come out because we know Toy Story. We know all that. But then what are some of the great Westerns, of course? You know, Back to the Future.
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West is a horrible movie for horrible people.
Awesome soundtrack.
What a turn, Ken. We were all just vibing out to Wild Wild West as a collective group, and now you come and just backstab us like this. That is a great song.
No Country for Old Men and the greatest Western known to man, A Million Ways to Die in the West. I'm just letting you know, Seth MacFarlane, it's a genius. Anyway, and maybe Tombstone if you feel lucky. But anyway, we were looking at Thunder Junction because we had literally 2 weeks after Fallout, and we were like, yeah, that's plenty of time. And we were like, these cards look amazing.
Amazingly dangerous.
Exactly. Like some of them might need to be locked up. And some of them, you know, maybe community service. I don't know. Because some of them look pretty weak. Unlike the murderous cat that Derek is holding right now. Anyway. So we was thinking, what is the greatest Western reference that we can reference? And then it hit us. SpongeBob SquarePants. Tell them about what we're going to do, Derek.
Yeah, so the thing is, with new sets and new Westerns, I think we can all agree that we don't have a scientific or intense enough system of grading Magic cards. We need that real, in-depth grading. We need professional level card evaluation. So who better to go to than the great Magic genius himself, SpongeBob SquarePants? So there's so many legendary creatures that we were just talking about this. They literally just said, is this legendary creature in the set? Yes. To every creature, there's everywhere. There has to be at least 30 or 40. Somehow Gitrog got into the desert. I don't know how this happened, but we need to do a grading of each of these legendary creatures on a very specific scale. So as the great SpongeBob SquarePants once broke some stuff down, we have 4 categories of cards that we're going to talk about with these legends. 1, are they worthy of the Salty Spittoon? And obviously, as everybody knows, Salty Spittoon does not mess around. There's a big sign on the front that says no weenies allowed, and we're not letting any weenies into the Salty Spittoon. If you're a weenie as a legendary creature, you got other places to go. The next category down, we got Weenie Hut Jr. So if you can't quite make it into the Salty Spittoon, but you know what? You're not a full weenie, but you're still a weenie. You're going to Weenie Hut Jr. There's no shame. Honestly, I'd probably go to Weenie Hut Jr. There's no shame there, but you're not Salty Spittoon material. But there's another category. Let's say you can't make it into Weenie Hut Jr. We got something for you too. It's Super Weenie Hut Jr. And Super Weenie Hut Jr. is basically Weenie Hut Jr., but just you're not quite there yet. You got some time before you're that big and tough, because obviously
it's for people who put ketchup on their fries and that level.
Yeah. If you put, but when you get to Super Weenie Hut Jr., that's for ketchup on your steak. That's if you're in that type of category. Christ.
No, that is not their category. Their category is the last category. If you eat well done steak and you put steak sauce on your steak, you belong in this category. And you tell them, Derek.
Well done steak's just a bad burger. The last category is the chum bucket, and this is just we tried. You're never gonna be Salty Spittoon material. You're not even gonna be Weenie Hut Jr. material. You are in your own category. You are in the chum bucket. We're going to reserve that for the legendary creatures we just don't like and the ones that we think would put ketchup on well done steak. Because they're both, look, even if a card is busted, let's say there's a new legend going to break every format. If we think that they would put ketchup on a well-done steak, chum bucket right away, bam, no
All
questions
day.
asked.
And if you eat lemon pepper wings too, that's right. I took a shot at all of Atlanta.
I'm gonna fight you through the screen. That is 100% Salty Spittoon material. Salty Spittoon only serves lemon pepper, 100%.
Oh yeah. By the way, just a heads up. They contacted us through the email and said that you had some mail left over here at the chum bucket, Derek. You need to go pick it up ASAP.
As the great poet Rick Ross once said, "Lemon pepper my wings." So, take that. Take that. All right. So we're gonna jump into some legendary creatures here. I'm gonna throw in some planeswalkers too, just for fun. Let's just start with the headliner, because this is, I think, what everybody saw when they first mentioned this set was a half naked Oko, and that's clearly what it caught everyone's attention. So let's talk about Oko the Ringleader. And Oko the Ringleader.
Wait, can we? Before we go there, can we talk about how they I think that was actually on the board when they're creating the card. There's rules to create Oko by. He cannot be fully clothed.
100.
If you fully clothe Oko, you will be completely dismissed.
He loses his powers. I think part of Oko's powers is the distraction of bam, bam, look at my abs as he's trying to do stuff. Because otherwise, maybe he would just maybe instead of turning things into elks, he'd turn them into giant Eldrazi because he's just not effective at all at what he's trying to do. But it's that distraction that he's got. All right, so Oko, we're going to talk about the card because it's Oko, so it's probably going to be busted. Let's be real. Beginning of combat, Oko the Ringleader becomes a copy of one target creature you control until end of turn, except it has hexproof because it needed that. You can also draw 2 cards, and if you've committed a crime this turn, discard a card, otherwise discard 2. You can minus it to create an elk, but you're not turning things into elk. And then for the last one, for each other non-land permanent you control, create a token that's a copy of that, and it's a -5. So y'all, where do you think Oko fits in on this? Is Oko getting into the Salty Spittoon, or where do you think he's getting into?
It depends. Honestly, I'd put Oko in Weenie Hut Jr. And let me explain why. This sounds powerful, but it's a lot that needs to go into this to make this card pop. You need to splash white so that no. In the Simic Flare, it has its abilities and strength, and of course you're gonna copy combat triggers and stuff like that. Maybe a few ETB triggers here and there. It's going to be a lot of work to get Oko off. I think it's not quite Salty Spittoon yet.
Okay. So where do you think Oko fits?
I'm going to have to disagree. This is Salty Spittoon is the worst of the worst, the worst offenders.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you, I know the difference between Chum Bucket, how we doing that. But Salty Spittoon is you need to be locked away and out of the public's view.
Yeah, you a whole problem.
Right. I'm throwing Oko there. I'm gonna have to throw Oko there. Just the fact that because not necessarily the abilities that are the plus or minus abilities, the top of that text says at the beginning of combat on your turn, Oko becomes a copy of up to 1 target creature you control. So, and it also has a hexproof. So up to the 1 means that you don't have to transform him, but he can protect himself every one of your turns.
So what you're telling me is that Oko becomes he can become open to board wipes. Let's see, he can be open to global effects because he gets turned into a creature. He's making himself less dangerous by becoming a creature.
What board wipes are you doing on my turn?
Let's see. I can settle thy wreckage. I can give myself flash with any of the land cards that I possess. I can do Polymorphous Jest, because congratulations. Oko not only loses his ability, but he's now a 1/1. Congratulations.
That doesn't sound like removal. That doesn't sound like removal to me. That doesn't sound like board destruction to me.
Oh, okay. It becomes a 1/1 that I get to step on when you try to swing with it. But yeah, I get it. If you turn this into a Frost Titan or whatever, yeah, it can get real jazzy or whatever. But it is what it is.
Y'all are making some decent points. I'm going to chime in with the fact that not only do I think Oko puts ketchup on his steak, he puts mustard on that shit. He's going to the chum bucket. He just gives the vibe of the guy who's definitely a little too into nature, a little to the point where look, nature's great, love holistic, eating healthy and stuff like that.
Soap.
He's the one that's a little too into it.
He's Jared Leto.
Is that the guy that doesn't shower?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. I got to throw him in the chum bucket now.
See, and that's what that's the vibe I'm getting is you think everything's normal, and then something it all hits you at once, and it's
surprise,
like, oh,
Joker's here.
I'm putting feces in your soup bucket. They're like, wait, why even do that? That's not what the Joker does. What are we doing?
That's not his thing.
Read a comic.
So we're gonna have you. Yeah, he can hang out with his friend. Apparently, if Jared Leto is the non-shower that I'm thinking of, they can hang out in the chum bucket together and have a good time. Now let's get to the next one because I just love the name of this card, so we have to talk about it. We're gonna talk about Geralf, or is it Geralf or Geralf? I've never settled on this.
I think I say Geralf.
G Money.
I call him G Money. I was literally about to say that.
Gotcha. G Money the Flesh Right is 2 and a blue for a legendary creature. Whenever you cast a spell during a turn whenever you cast a spell during your turn other than the first spell that turn. Look, we're gonna do a separate thing. The wording, I can barely read normal sentences. These cards have like run-on sentences out the ass. Okay, so whenever you cast a spell during your turn other than the first spell that turn, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. So every time you cast a spell in your turn, if it's not the first one, you get a zombie token. Whenever a zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each other zombie that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So basically, the more zombies you make, the bigger it gets because it's entering for the number of things that have entered under your control. And I was not being attacked by a zombie. That was a demon cat throwing things at my head from the top shelf. So pray for me if I get hit and fall over. Just keep doing the video. Pretend I'm still there. So the flesh right. How do y'all feel about flesh rights?
First of all, I think that's to each his own. With Gerald in the flesh. First of all, I gotta put this in the Salty Spittoon, but not for the reason that you think. I think because it creates zombie rogue creatures. So I don't know if people have noticed, especially with the reprinting of the rogue deck, but rogues can get pretty silly out there. They can, when they do combat damage or attack, they can make you mill. They can also cast stuff from your library. There's even spells out there that might give you extra turns with rogues. So I think this might actually be a silent sleeper out there. Like, this may be the one that, shakes your hand while his friend steals from your back pocket. Like that time at the White Castle.
It also is going to shout out the rogues. There is a mechanic in this set that talks about outlaws. So whenever you cast an outlaw, or if outlaws do stuff, and outlaws are a group of creature types similar to like a party, and that does include rogues as well. So that's going to synergize with some of that. So I guess it adds some utility there also. So you said, what was your final verdict category wise?
Salty Spittoon.
We got a salty spittoon. Look at that, just throwing around,
because of his name.
He's also rolling it. Yeah, I might be with you there. So where are you at with the flesh right?
All right. So as the only person on this panel who plays G Money, has a G Money deck, mono blue at that. I'm talking about G Money Visionary Stitcher. He makes your zombies fly. If this guy was in this set, automatic Salty Spittoon. But I'm gonna have to downgrade my man. I put him in a Winnie Hut only because he's doing some good things on his own. He can only do that ability on your turn. And that means that you got a spell sling with blue on your turn. There's no holding up counterspell mana. You just go. But he's going to need some backup, especially from the Visionary Stitcher, to make those big zombies fly.
Okay. I'm going to go... I have to go Salty Spittoon, mainly because, like, when the Flesh Right, Fleshy G rolls up to a club, he's gonna come up to the Salty Spittoon with a whole squad of zombies and progressively buffer zombies. So when he walks up and dude's like, "No, you're a weenie," first zombie's gonna roll up, and if that doesn't scare him, he's like, "Okay, well then another one," and eventually you're gonna end up with like the rock of zombies, just like muscles coming out of his ears, just like rolling up on the dude. Eventually, the backing there to kind of force his way in. So
I'm just glad that he's in blue, so you can spark double him and you can have 2 fleshlight rights.
Because 2's always better than 1.
I'm not saying that you can't break this card. It's just that he needs that backup. He's not doing it himself.
I see what you're saying. Well, we can't talk about G Money without talking about his
crazy sister,
Gisa, the other G Money, the Hellraiser. we're gonna get some more zombie goodness here. So G Money, the Hellraiser, other G Money is 3 black and a black with Ward 2, because everything needs wards. Ward 2 and pay 2 life. Skeletons and zombies you control get +1/+1 have menace. And whenever you commit a crime, and whenever you're committing a crime is targeting opponents, anything they control, and cards in their graveyard, create 2 tapped 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature tokens. This ability triggers once each turn. So whereas
is Grave Titan with extra steps?
Yeah, so like whereas Fleshy G wants you to do a bunch of stuff on your turn, Gisa wants you to do basically one thing on each person's turn to make a whole bunch of zombies. Sounds like, well, it also has a Lord effect, so it's like a weird Grave Titan-y type effect. Ken, what is your verdict for Gisa?
Super Weenie Hut Jr. First of all, I know 2 and 3 mana spells that do the Lord effect and give bonuses to zombies. Maybe the ward, even the ward sucks. I'm sorry. No, the Gisa is almost in the chum bucket, okay? Almost. But by the fear grace that it has ward, it saves it. And then you can only trigger this once? No.
Damn. Okay. Zed, where are you at? I see you kind of giving a look over there.
I'm conflicted. Because she got the Lord thing going on, and she's given the menace, which is awesome. She's making 2 zombies every time you commit a crime, but they come in tapped. She got the Ward 2. That's giving me a Weenie Hut, Super Weenie Hut Jr. Vibes right there. But I do like what you said, that you can only, even though you're just triggering once per turn, this wants you to do it on other people's turns. So I'm not spell slinging, but I'm holding up mana for everyone else. So that's what I'm not loving, but also what I'm liking, because I can target your stuff with 1 black mana and drop 2 zombies at the same time. I like that. I like it. It's just something about this is just like.
I'll tell you what it is. It's the shovel in her hand. If you look close at the art, there's a shovel in her hand, because that's how much crap she got to dig in order to get this to work.
I think it's the 5. It's the fact it's a 5 drop. It's a 5 drop.
Maybe I'll be the tiebreaker here.
So I need to actually pick a category. So I'm going with not Chum, but Weenie Hut Jr.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going straight into Super Weenie Hut Jr. for Gisa for one reason only. We're talking about like the salty spittoon. You got to be tough. You got to come in there. You're not a weenie. If you have Ward as a commander, you can't run up and act tough when you have Ward. That's like the equivalent of like, I love in like basketball games when like, it's like with Ward, you're not going to get hit. They got to pay extra. They got to do all this stuff. It's like in a basketball game when people know they're not going to fight and they run up like arms down, face first, like acting tough. Like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to punch you right now. This is what, and then they end up just face to face, like doing this. Like, no, I don't buy it at all. Ward is for is for super weenies, okay? Ward is for super weenies, and we're writing that down right now. That is a magical fact. So
wait. It's even worse than that, Derek.
Yeah,
it's even worse. I think at that point they're just goofy goobers.
Are
you a goofy goober?
We are unleashing a new category here. Yes, if you have Ward, just you're a goofy goober. Write that ish down.
Goofy goober.
Yeah. Okay, Gisa, you're a goofy goober, and you're gonna have to deal with it. Before I get too angry, we're going to jump on to the next one. So the next card we're going to talk about is actually a new legendary creature. The last few we've done have been creatures we've seen before. This is going to be a new one, and it is Bristly Bill Spine Sower. So Bristly Bill also is just like the most... I feel like, yeah, that's about as Western of a... Bristly Bill sounds like something you'd see in Red Dead. It's a 1 and a green for a 2/2 plant druid, and it has landfall. So whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then you can pay 5 mana, 3 green to double the number of +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. That Bristly Bill is, yeah. So I don't want to spoil my. Ken, what do you got to say about Bristly Bill?
Okay, y'all ready for this? It's a goofy goober. I'm just messing with you. This is clearly part of the salty spittoon. This actually is a kill on sight. Wow. First of all, when it comes to commander wise, you play it on turn 2. You put a fetch land in hit a fetch land so it can gain 2 counters. Then, this is disgusting. First of all, it's auto-include in Wind Grace. I'm letting you know that right now. It is happening as we speak. It is going in Wind Grace. It is clearly part of the Salty Splatoon. Like, it actually, you know what? It may be too good. It may be so good that you might have to throw it in the chug bucket so other people can't play it. You know what? I'll revise that. It is so good that it goes into the chug bucket.
No. I see where your mind is going. That's why I was talking about the last one. Like, it's so dangerous. It needs to be away from the public access, like public view. Like, keep it away from people. It needs to be like locked in a vault somewhere.
Like the McRib. That's why it only comes out every 2 months. 2 months out of a year.
No, it's only because our digestive system can only. You know what? I'm not going to get into that. So, Bristly Bill, Salty Splatoon. This is where you belong. You are dangerous. You're dangerous to look at, dangerous to touch, dangerous to play against. This a cactus of a card, like, is just doing what it does. It's crazy. So I do like that it has the landfall thing, and you can only put a 1/1 counter on one thing at a time. But like you said, you're in green, you can drop multiple lands in one turn.
Scape shift. The scape shift, life from the loam.
Grab your lands from the graveyard, like scape shift.
Anything that does extra lands,
Wreck.
druid class, which I stand on.
Oh man, yeah.
So the thing that's interesting. So we got 2 Salty Splatoons so far, correct?
Yes. No.
Maybe
One chum bucket because I think it's too good. It needs to be thrown away.
I think he means Alcatraz. Like that's what he means.
So we got a whole separate place. He's got to go hang out with the Alaskan bullworm, where just nothing's allowed.
Wait. You know that place? This is like season 1 SpongeBob, where the bus dropped him off, and
where they talk about
yeah.
I think that's what was it? That was called. Was it Rock Bottom?
Yeah, Rock Bottom. That's where this needs to go.
Yeah. He belongs in Rock Bottom for sure.
This card came with warrants.
Bristly Bill. The funny thing is, I actually think that the landfall part is a bit more, because it's 1 counter on 1 creature per. I think that's going to be pretty cool. I think like it's going to be strong, but I think it's also like, even in landfall decks, if you're hitting 3 or 4 land drops in a turn, that's an incredible turn. And if you think about with other cards like a Rampaging Baloth or something like that, you're getting 4/4/4s, or an Avenger Zendikar, you're putting 4 counters on everything. This is 4 individual ones. So I think that's a bit more. It's the second ability to me. If you put this in the 99 of a +1 counter deck, that is the part that's the scariest. Because for me, as a commander, I think it's going to be strong. It's mono green, obviously. But that in the 99, where it only costs you 2 mana to drop, so 7 mana total to essentially double your board's power for a lot of +1 counter decks. And if you have a ton of mana, you can do that repeatedly. This will definitely take it from like, oh, your board's kind of scary. Like, I'm thinking of like Azuri Claw of Progress and other things like that. It's going to take it from like, oh, this is kind of scary, to like, oh, no, like we're like dead.
We haven't even gotten into the doubling seasons, your hardened scales, your worm coils, all those. We haven't even touched that.
Yeah, there are other cards that already do that.
Yeah, and for that reason, I'm putting it's not going to make it into the Salty Splatoon. It's going to go into the Alaskan Bullworm Ranch, 100%. Because the Alaskan Bullworm, you remember, you were like, oh, is that the worm? And I think it was like its antenna or something. Like it was like a tongue or something sticking out. That wasn't the worm itself. That was like the lure. That's what Bristly Bill's doing, because it's going to lure people with that +1 counter ability. And you're like, oh, there's some counters here. And then all of a sudden, the damn worms comes out the ground, doubles everything, and you get killed. I wanted to put it into this. Also, if it was just a vanilla, you're getting in the Salty Splatoon, because if y'all ever like thought about fighting a cactus, that would be the worst thing in the world. Like, you just have little spine things. Like, I trip, and I live out in a desert now, obviously. So like, I trip and like accidentally walk into a cactus and question my life decisions.
All that space out there,
fight one.
And you still walk into a cactus.
I stumble a lot. I'm quite clumsy, so it's like, yeah, Bristly Bill, you're going onto the Alaskan Bullworm farm. That's where you're stuck, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do one more legendary creature on this list, and there's one that sticks out. So in this set, again, we have a lot of returners, but I want to talk about one in particular that is a newcomer. For whatever reason in this set, they've decided that dragons are also scorpions, which, cool, yeah, good for you. But there is a new card called Akul the Unrepentant. A Cool the Unrepentant is a legendary creature, Scorpion Dragon Rogue. It's black, red, red. Got Flample. It's a 5/5. It says sacrifice 3 other creatures. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, and this can only be activated as a sorcery and once per turn. So basically, sack 3 creatures, cheat any creature from your hand into play once per turn as a sorcery. How do y'all feel about A Cool? Where's he hanging out?
Okay. First of all, there's a couple of things wrong with this because when I saw this card, and I forgot I saw it at first because when I saw it, I blacked out because blood rushed in my head and I couldn't think. I go back to the great SpongeBob episode when there's a villain on the loose and Patrick's going, wee woo, wee woo. That is what I feel when I see this because this is dangerous because token synergies and dropping big things. This can get real disgusting real quick. Let me tell you something also about this Kalia. That's right. This is a secondary commander in Kalia. It can get real nasty real quick. Oh, you telling me I can sacrifice a little insignificant tokens and drop angels and demons? Angels and demons? Tom Hanks is somewhere right now shaking in his boots because I said those words.
All right, so where does that put him?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I love the speech. I needed another category.
The salty spittoon. He goes to the salty spittoon. I'm sorry. He goes to the salty spittoon.
He gave that man not a eulogy, but
epilogue.
And then just walked away.
Sometimes you got to fart before you leave the room.
It just speaks for itself.
Salty spittoon.
All right, salty spittoon. All right, Seth. What you got for A Cool?
All right. First of all, I'm disturbed. I'm disturbed, 1, because there's a snake in my boots. I'm disturbed, 2, because this is a almost better version of Rakdos. I'm disturbed, 3, because I know that I saw other Scorpion Dragons in this set, but I thought I saw people riding on them. But this is the boss though. That's sentient and can talk, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I really read the story. But anyway, all those grievances aside, Salty's platoon. He's not quite Alcatraz. He's not quite Bullworm Farm, whatever you said. But yeah, he's definitely dropping some big things from the hand. And I see a lot of Blight Steels. I see some Eldrazi's coming down. I see some demons, maybe some dragons. Oh my. Get ready.
To quote the great Disturb, this is down with the sickness. That's all we know.
So this thing is really interesting to me because it's almost like the sneak attack deck type of effect where we have like with the Perforos that cheats things in. Feldon's almost in that category. You have actual sneak attack. There's so many of those effects, but this one's weird in the sense of it doesn't die at end of turn or exile at end of turn, so it's a permanent one, but it also doesn't gain haste. So you're like dropping something on your turn and basically being like, look at me, you have a whole turn to deal with this, as opposed to just dropping and going. Obviously you can add haste enablers and stuff, but it's interesting that, like, you know, most times if you sneak attack out like an Ulamog, somebody's getting exiled for 20 or somebody's getting annihilated, or so the fact that it doesn't come with haste, I love, because it's not just making it easy mode, but it's also like, it's interesting. Card ability wise, I love this. This is one of my favorite cards in the set. I think it's super powerful, but I also think not giving haste, limiting it to once per turn, is going to and making it sorcery speed is going to make it more fair than it appears. Because even if you have 6 creatures out, yeah, you can get 2 Eldrazi, but without an extra piece, everyone has a turn to deal with you and know that you're the whole problem and basically say like, yeah, like kill that guy.
I'm just so glad it's not Mardu, because with Mardu and you can just splash just for soldier tokens, I mean, this is like a win on turn 4 when it comes out.
Yeah, no, for sure. The fact that it is in Rakdos, you still have plenty of like goblin tokens and things like that. And you can make it, I mean, at this point, there's so many busted cards. You can take any commander and make it obnoxious. I think this can be a very fun deck to play against, as long as the person building it's not trying to be the whole problem. Like putting fun creatures and stuff in. Immediately I think of stuff like Chancellor the Forge. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff. But having all that knows those nice things, I think he's a Weenie Hut Jr. And there's one reason. anytime someone look, that is some of the most badass art I've ever seen in my life. Like that is one of the most terrifying creatures I've ever seen. And it's almost like when you see the real big dude, like covered in tattoos, like muscles everywhere, like, deep down, he's really just a teddy bear that really needs a hug, like so badly. And that's the vibe I get. I don't think he's a salty spittoon. I think he wants a hug. I think he's going to go to Weenie Hut Jr., put his arm around all his little friends, stop shooting a laser beam at his tail so he doesn't kill anyone by accident, and just have a little kumbaya moment of just like love and peace and like, these are my friends and family, and stop. It looks like he's burning down like half of the world, and that should probably, stop doing that before he hangs out at Weenie Hut.
Yes, because he is, and he does strike down people with his tail and turn them into ashes.
Look, I don't think he's about that life. I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna call him out.
Yeah. Okay.
I said it.
Let me say this much. I will say this. No, I was the only reason I would put it in Weenie Hut Jr. because of the name. Look, we talked about this before when we talked about Xander being a vampire, demon, a Googleathop, but now we dealing with a Scion, Scorpion, Dragon, Rogue. Why is that even necessary? Why? What part of any of this says Rogue? All right, what part? And why do you need pincers when you're a dragon?
He's got a little cowboy hat on top.
Why does he have a cowboy hat? I didn't even notice that. Why does he have a cowboy hat? This is stupid. With fire.
Everything has a cowboy hat. This set. That's the thing.
He's
got a bandana cowboy hat.
Who makes a flame-proof cowboy hat? Why?
That's actually a great question.
First of all, because you're not used to spitting hot fire. You're not used to your hat catching on fire all the time. So I like the design. He is scary. I do see where you're coming from though, Derek. He's probably just a big soft teddy bear who needs a hug or whatever. But nah, that's danger right there. I run away from danger.
All right, so that is going to wrap it up for now. I think we did a good little mix of legendary creatures. Let us know in the comments what legendary creatures belong in the Salty Spittoon, and what is a legendary creature that sticks out to you that should be in Super Weenie Hut Jr., or dare I even say the Chum Bucket. Do either of y'all have any closing thoughts before we wrap everything up?
Yes, and with any of these cards that we mentioned, of course, go to our affiliate link at the bottom from TCG Player. I know that the categories we used were super precise and it was easy for you to follow along, but you know what? That's your problem. But thank you guys for tuning in and joining us. Like and subscribe. But until next time, I'm a goofy goober. No, I ain't.